Yo, what's up, guys? NHL DFS coming back with another NHL video. Today, we've got a 6-game slate, and it is the last day of NHL hockey fantasy until the NBA comes back. So, this is like the last big hurrah for bigger tournaments. I think the big one's 50K to first. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be getting into. I'm going to do the mini max. So, um, but keep an eye out for big contest today. There's I'm gonna look them up right now to just to demonstrate what they look like. Today we have the $10 50K to first. We have a $33 10K to first. Those are the two big tournaments. The $12 single entry is usually 1,000 to first. It's 2,000 to first now. So there are bigger tournaments today. So this is the last big day to go play some fantasy hockey. So I hope you guys. I'm assuming you are, seeing that you're watching this video. But I hope to maybe see you guys take some tournaments, win some big money tonight. But let's get right into this slate. Starts at 8 o'clock, so it's a late starting slate. So you got that extra hour before lock. But to start the 8 o'clock game, and it's only one 8 o'clock game. We have 8:30, 8:30, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 10:30. All right. New York Rangers, Chicago Blackhawks, 3.06 for the Rangers, 3.44 for the Blackhawks. Alexander Georgiev and Corey Crawford projected to be in goal. Those obviously can change. I feel like every single time I make a video, there's at least 2 or 3 goalies that do change. So don't use these goalies that are on here at 1 o'clock, 7 hours before the slate locks as say all be all, because it could easily be Robin Leonard here, it could be Shesterkin here, it could be Khudobin here, so you never know. But looking at the Rangers side, I'm probably going to get to a decent amount of the top 2 lines. My preferred line is the Kreider, Zibanejad, Buchnevich line. They're just a better overall line, in my opinion, to full stack. But if I'm getting, hypothetically speaking, 10% of this top line, then that Panarin Strome fast line is going to get around 7%. They're about equal in my mind. They're just the price is a little bit different. So if you want to go for a little bit of cheaper stack, the Panarin line. If you want to go for more of an expensive stack, that'll be the Zibanejad line. As for defensemen, I'm looking at Trouba. There's no Tony DeAngelo, so Adam Fox is 4,500, and he's on that top power play. So if you want to play either of these top 2 lines, Adam Fox is not a bad option to go with them. He has that power play correlation. If you do the top line of Kreider and Zibanejad, with that second line, he has the power play correlation with Panarin and Strome. So that's just something to look at here. You can always go with a Lindgren or a Brandon Smith as a cheap defenseman option as a punt. Generally, I do punt with defensemen to allow for more expensive stacks. I like the more expensive stacks on the slate usually, but definitely as something to look at. I am looking at more power play stacks from this Rangers team compared to full line stacks. Chicago doesn't give up that many penalty minutes a game for power play options. They average around 7.8 per game, which is 9th out of the 12 teams on the slate. So they're not a team that you can rely on a bunch of penalty minutes in the game. On the Chicago side, 3.44 implied total. I love that. And the lines are I kind of like the second line more than the first line. Patrick Kane, Brandon Saad, and Carpenter. that Ryan Carpenter at 2,500 can bring some affordability to this line to afford a Patrick Kane. It kind of balances it out. So I kind of like this second line more than the first line, but I'll probably be getting to a decent amount of the power play combinations here with Taos, Kubalik, Kane, and Saad. Some type of combination of those guys. The Rangers give up 10.3 penalty minutes per game, which is second highest on the slate, only behind Colorado. So power play stacks for Chicago look nice tonight. Second line stacks look good tonight. If you want, you can get to that the Chicago one line if you so please. Gustafsson is a nice addition to any of these two stacks. He's a $3,600 power play one player. So, and I don't think there's going to be much defense in this game at all. So definitely Rangers and Blackhawks. It's going to be a game I'm going to get to a decent amount to, a 6.5 total. I think there's only one other game, the Anaheim, Florida game, that's just projected that much. So this is a game I definitely want to get plenty of exposure to from both sides. As for goalies, I'm not really looking at goalies here. What I look for goalies are ones that are in bigger favorited matchups and less implied total. And 135, it's nice, but it's not good enough compared to a 165. There's 190, 135 for Bobrovsky, 170 for Francouz, and 130 for Markstrom. But that's just something I look at more. I like looking at the Vegas odds when picking goalies. As you guys know, if you've seen my videos in the past, that's the way I like to pick my goalies. But that's what I'm looking at from this Chicago and New York game. First one on the slate. On to the next game. We got the Arizona Coyotes, Dallas Stars, 2.21 from the Coyotes, 2.79 from the Stars. Ben Bishop, Antti Raanta in net. And Bishop is going to be one of those I'm going to get to for goalie. I'm not in love with this matchup for either team. This is going to be a very defensive matchup, very slow-paced Dallas team. And they really went and screwed up their lines. I'm not a favor of them. I'm missing the days when we had Seguin and Ben on the same line, and that's not a thing right now. Looking at the Arizona side, I'm feeling it is a top line or bust. If you're looking at the Coyotes, I feel like they have very condensed scoring sometimes with that Taylor Hall, Garland, and Dvorak line. But against Dallas, I'm not going to be getting to too much of them. Maybe 5%, if that. Arizona 2 is looking like maybe just a cheap filler stack, but if I get more than 3% of them, I'd be extremely surprised. Just because Arizona has, I believe, the lowest total on the slate. Yeah, Arizona has the lowest total on the slate by far, 0.19 away from the Islanders at the second lowest. But overall, I'm going to be getting to plenty of Ben Bishop because I like the low implied total. I like the minus 165 for the Vegas odds for the money line, which is a nice 6-point bonus at the end. 8,200 is not a bad price for goalies with this type of matchup. On the Dallas side, I'm just not a huge fan of these lines. I feel like other than Ben Bishop, this game is a big cross out for the slate. But watch, this will be the game that goes off to be a 7-5 game, and I'm going to be like, well, shit. But this is definitely not a game I'm expecting more than 5 goals from. If I was betting the over-under, it'd probably be actually the exact. I think a 2-3 game sounds about right. If not, like a 2-1 game. So an under. But we're going to, and also, for if you're looking at power play stacking them, don't. These two teams rank 11th and 12th for best matchups for power plays. They give up the least amount of they commit the least amount of penalties per game. So it's not like those are decent power play matchups either. That's one big crossout. On to the next game, Boston Bruins, Edmonton Oilers, 3.47 for the Bruins, 2.53 for the Oilers. Tuukka Rask, Mike Smith. I think Tuukka Rask is going to be my highest exposed goalie tonight. I'm just going to say that now. Let's see if I have my lineups built. This is without any changes or anything. It has Boston, Chicago. That's going to go down. All right. That's going to go way up. But this is before I threw any of my input in there. I don't include fourth line players, so that's not going to be a lineup right there. But once again, that Boston one line is going to be chalk. It always is. It's always 20% plus owned usually. On 11 game slates, it's always 10% plus owned. So people just go to Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand, and I'm going to be one of those too. Boston 1 is Boston 1. I don't think I have to really go into too much detail on these guys. They're good. They're just expensive. They are a $24,500 line. Wow. That's about half your salary, but they could be worth it. But damn, you're going to have to find some cheap filler stacks in order to be able to fit those guys into your lineup. Boston 2, they're just cheaper. They're not cheap, but they're cheaper. They're a $14,000 line, 14.3. So overall, I'm going to get to Boston 1. I don't know how much now, truly adding up that salary amount being 50% of your salary. Yikes. But I'm definitely going to get some Tuukka Rask here, which is going to probably be my top exposed goalie of the night. Minus 190. I like the favored matchup for Tuukka Rask. Over to the Edmonton Oilers side, and wow, these guys could not catch a break. They lost, I believe it was Ekman Larson, which is another big piece for them. So now basically it is that Leon Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, and Yamamoto line or bust. And if that's going up against that Pastrnak, Bergeron, Marchand line, I don't know if I want to get to more than 5% of these guys. Boston does not give up, or they actually, my bad, they give the third highest amount of penalty minutes. So, and Edmonton does have the best power play unit on this slate, 29.5% on the power play. But granted, those are usually with Ekman Larson and Connor McDavid. So I don't know if you want to get to too much of this top power play stack, especially if they're going up against that Bergeron, Pastrnak, Marchand line. But it's just a very ugly situation for the Edmonton Oilers right now. And I don't know if I want to get to much of them at all. Daniel Nurse will be on that top power play stack at 4,700 if that's someone you want to get to. For Boston, Torrey Krug, but I don't know if you really want to get to a $5,900 defenseman when you're most likely going to be pairing that up with Boston 1. That's going to leave you basically no money. You're basically going to have to go scrubs elsewhere in order to really figure that one out. Yeah, but I want to get to Boston. They're pricey. I don't really want to get to Edmonton. Our next game on the slate starts at 10 o'clock. We're going to have a very late night here with 3 late night games. Florida Panthers, Anaheim Ducks, 3.44 for the Panthers, 3.06 for the Ducks. Sergei Bobrovsky, John Gibson, projected in net. And these lines for Florida seem a little funky right now. They only have 2 people for that second line. So something to keep an eye out on. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Dadonov went to the second line here, or even they move Akari down and move Dadonov to the top line. That's what I prefer most. It'd give you that power play correlation. But right now it has him in the third line. But just keep an eye on this Florida line. I don't think I can really get into Florida too much right now, which is unfortunate. I really like them for this slate, depending on what their lines look like. They're playing a very bad Anaheim team, but you just got to keep an eye out for what their lines look like. So I can't really have too much here. On the Anaheim side, I kind of like Anaheim 1. They have a very nice power play correlation there on the top, and then with Matt Jones makes it much more affordable at the $2,700 price tag. Something to look at there. And I'm not really looking at Anaheim 2, but Anaheim 3, I feel like is more of the Anaheim 2. They're getting secondary power play minutes. So Richie, Henrique, and Terry. And they're cheap. They're definitely a good filler stack if you want to go Boston 1. So just something to keep an eye out for. Is these three guys right? The line 3 right here. I don't really suggest third lines, but Anaheim 3 is looking like one of those that could be a decent play tonight. They have a 3 implied total, which is not terrible for Anaheim. So definitely definitely a line I'll probably get to in filler stack for Boston 1, Colorado 1, any expensive stacks, and probably Rangers power play stacks. If I'm playing a line with Zibanejad, Panarin, and Kreider, I'm going to probably fill it in with a Troy Terry, Adam Henrique, and Richie, maybe as a 3-3. But that's what I'm looking at from this game. Defenseman, Yandel with a power play stack. That's just about it. Pysyk. They're playing 7 defensemen, so I'm not a huge fan of Florida defensemen. That just drops down on time for the starting ones. If you're adding a 7th one, even if they're getting 10 minutes of ice time, that's still 10 minutes away from the other 6. And I'm just not a huge fan of that. On the Anaheim side, maybe Cam Fowler at 4,300. With that power play correlation, but I'm not a huge fan of the defenseman here at all. For power play, Florida gives up the 5th highest on the slate, 8.9 penalty minutes. So Anaheim power play stacks could be interesting, and then Anaheim 6th. So if you want to play some Florida power play stacks, that could be fine as well. On to the next game, New York Islanders. Colorado Avalanche, 2.4 for the Islanders, 3.1 for the Avalanche. Semyon Varlamov, Pavel Francouz. With Grubauer being out, he's going to be getting the goaltending time for the foreseeable future for Colorado. And they're probably going to bring someone up. But I am kind of interested in the Islanders side here. Especially power play stacking them. Colorado gives up the highest amount of penalty minutes out of the whole slate, which can give Eberle, Lee, Barzell, and Bailey as a power play stack looking pretty good. I like the second line for New York Islanders. I know that's broken correlation. There's no power play minutes that they're going to be playing together, but Bailey dropped down, Dalcall went up, and he's only 2,500 Dalcall on a second line with Beauvillier and Nelson. I actually kind of like that. So just because it's more affordable, probably New York Islanders 2 will be probably my more go-to stack from the Islanders today. Even though they don't have the power play correlation like New York Islanders 1 does. I like a Doug Hall, Nelson Beauvillier with like a Mayfield or a Towers. Towers, especially with that top line though. And just mixing around these cheaper Islander defenders, because the most expensive one that's not Ryan Pulock is Towers at 3,700. So 5 of the 6 ones are 3,700 or cheaper. So that's just definitely a team to look at when you want to play defenseman. But kind of like the top 2 lines here, maybe some Beauvillier one-offs and Barzal one-offs. On the other side, Colorado, that 3.1 implied total is nice. Obviously, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Burakovsky is a great line. And they lost. Why am I drawing a blank on the guy's name right now? Rantanen. They lost Mikko Rantanen. He has a broken collarbone. He's going to be out for a few weeks. So this Landeskog, McKinnon, Burakovsky line is going to stick for the foreseeable future. But damn, they lost their goalie, their starting goalie, and one of their top linesmen. That's kind of rough for Colorado. But still, they got one of the best players in hockey with McKinnon. So I am going to be getting to this top line. I'll probably be under the field with it because I feel the Islanders' defense is going to get better, especially with having Green on the team, even though he's not part of the starting lineup right now. Let's take a look. I was looking at this the other day. He was in the starting lineup. I believe he got an assist. This is a. I'll let that load. Oh, what's going on? My computer's being slow for a second here. Come on, get back to where I need to be. All right, this is being interesting here. Come on. Sorry about this. Come on. Forget it. Forget I even mean to try to do it. Come on. There we go. But back to where I was looking at for the Colorado side. Colorado 1, I won't be getting at. Colorado 2, they're cheaper. They could be a filler stack, but it's not a stack I want to get to, like a full line stack. Maybe some Donskoy and Comfer, but overall it's going to be just Colorado 1, and that's about it. With Makar, Cale Makar, and maybe a little bit of Ryan Graves. He'll get lower ownership just because he's a little bit more expensive and he's not on a power play. But definitely something I will keep an eye on for Colorado. And on to the final game of the slate here, Minnesota Wild, Vancouver Canucks. 2.62 for the Wild, 2.88 for the Canucks. Devon Dubnyk, Jacob Markstrom, and we got a brand new top line for Vancouver, but we'll get to that in just a minute. On the Minnesota side, we have the top line of Paris, Stahl, and Fiala. I'm going to be getting to. I'm definitely more interested in that top line than the second line. And I'm probably going to be playing Fiala because the last few times I didn't play him, he burned me and went off for a few goals. Like against Colorado like a week ago. Went off there. He went off against Vegas. goals in those games, assists in both those games. And then when I started to play him again, he scores 4.5 and 7.3. I'm probably going to get to him just because if I don't, he'll score 20-something points, and that's just my luck. I'll get to Minnesota 1. Not really Minnesota 2. So, and with that Minnesota 1 stacks, I'll get to some Suter and Bergeron. That's really it for Minnesota. Dumba is a meh play. Vancouver does give up the 4th most penalty minutes, so power play stacks for Minnesota are fine. Not really power play stacks for Vancouver, though, on the Vancouver side. Minnesota's middle of the pack when it comes to penalty minutes per game. But Vancouver has one of the best power plays in the game. They are 3rd on the slate, 23.7%. And I think adding this guy right here, Tyler Toffoli, that's really going to help that top line. I'm very interested in that top line, the Miller, Toffoli, and Pettersson line. Partner that up with Bo Horvath, and that's a really nice power play with Quinn Hughes as well. So it's something you want to keep an eye out for is definitely that this is a brand new line. It'll probably get more ownership than it deserves because there's a brand new toy right here in Tyler Toffoli, and people want to play that. But I'm going to be getting to a decent amount of Jacob Markstrom as well. I like the lower implied total, even though it's a minus 130 for Vegas odds. I like the lower implied total, and I really like that he's at home, and it's a nice matchup. So definitely something I like here. But that's just about it for this video. This was the 6 games for today. Overall, my favorite plays are probably that first game, New York and Chicago, Boston 1, and Vancouver 1. My top goalies are going to be Markstrom, maybe a little bit of Bobrovsky, Rask, and Bishop. That's going to do it for this today's video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know, guys, who you think is going to be the top scoring stack in the comment section below. And I'll catch you in tomorrow's video. Peace out, guys.